What is up, everybody? It's your boy Brendan, aka Drip, from Team D.D, back with another video. In today's video, I decided to take something else to locals for a locals live series. If you don't know, every Thursday I do my locals live series where I take my decks or the decks I like, or if every once in a while I'll do a deck that you all request. Typically, that's usually only a Patreon exclusive thing that I offer, but sometimes I make exceptions. But I decided to take a deck that I've loved over the years and has been like my baby. I took some new innovations that I previously used in previous profiles and decided to see if I can take just a small twist and change a couple of things about the way that like other people have run it, and myself including have ran it in the past, and tweaked a few things and see if it can change the overall consistency. And ironically, it really has. This I'm not even saying this to like be clickbaiting you all or anything like that. If you know and you've been around for the channel for a while, you know I don't do that stuff. That like every now and then I'll clickbait a little bit, but like this is literally card for at least my playstyle, which is more conservative when it comes to my playstyle when it comes to Shaddolls. The best way to play actual Invoked Shaddolls. If you want to play Invoked Dogmatika with the Schism package and call it Shaddolls, that's fine. But that's not what this is here. You want that, then go play that. But that's not what this is. This actually utilizes the actual Shaddoll engine. So I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just going to be as blunt as hell in this video because I love you all and I love everybody who watches my videos, but I'm also tired of people saying that, well, it looks bricky. No, I'm just taking my approach, which is a more conservative route. If you want to play Invoke Hand Trap Schism deck, then go play that. That's fine. But this deck is actually insane, and people are missing out on the utility that the Shaddolls actually give you, the main deck Shaddolls. This deck also has a very, very good fire matchup, definitely when it's in a good pilot's hands, in my personal opinion. Also, shoot, I can't even talk. The sauce that I'm actually using is not nothing quote-unquote new. I just decided to cut a card that is typically with this package and added a second copy of the other card to make it more of a fusion based instead of a link spam based, because we are running the Cartesia package, fun fact, but I cut the Quim because the Quim is a dead card in my personal opinion. It doesn't do nothing if it's in hand, because if you have it in hand with Alistair, then it's kind of a dead card, and it doesn't help you fuse or anything. Yes, it gets you access to Cartesia, but the Quim doesn't really do anything for you as much as I wish it would. It's a Garnet, and I don't want to run a Garnet in my personal opinion. And with that version, I feel like you have to run more of links, which cuts out your Shaddoll package. So I increased Cartesia to 2, which in theory technically gives me 5 normal summons in the form of Alistair and Cartesia. And sometimes Cartesia is actually a better normal summon. Also, it makes your deck more able to grind when you play this version instead of the Quim version, because the Quim version forces you, like, it can make a very disgusting board, but like if your opponent can crack through it, you have nothing on the crackback besides Alistair, or maybe if you're lucky, Schism, which is not enough considering you blew through most of your extra deck. This board basically does what Invoked Shaddolls has liked to do all along, just more consistently. So your boards can still be very interactive and very you can interrupt your opponent a lot, but it makes it to where you have more of a grind game. For an example, round 2, I think on Locals Live, I had like a 35 to 37 minute game 1, and I went second, pushing through 4 negates, and I was able to oversimplify the game, which I ended up winning the game. Push through 4 negates. It's insane. But I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. I want to show you guys the list. For the most part, the first part is basically cookie cutter and standard for what we've grown and loved over the years with Alistair. 2 Alistair, 3 Invocation, 3, and then I am running the Terraforming. This is all gas, no brakes. I'm only running 3 non-engine in the form of hand traps / board breakers, whatever you want to call it. The rest of it is literally just get me to gas, get me to engine. Droll is falling out of the format for the most part, and sometimes some people are even dropping it out of the side deck because of fire. Like, it's only good in fire if they open bonfire and nothing else. So terraforming is okay right now, my personal opinion. On top of that, you need to see Alistair for your Shadow's Light, basically, to be able to get the +2 that you normally would get off of it. Some say +1, I say +2. But yeah, I know I previously did a Invoked build, but that one had hand traps, and I didn't like. I liked it, but like when I was playing it in person and stuff, it felt like yeah, I could stop my opponent from playing, but I can't really play. And then they just kill me on the crackback. So it's like you had to open specific hands in order to do so, to stop them and play. And I just didn't like that. So I was like, all right, I want to play a little bit with the all gas no break build. And in theory, technically, this kind of a list of where the synergy from all the different engines can come together. I've been technically trying to figure this out on and off for the past year since the Shadow's Light card came out. Yes, because I was like, man, I wonder if there's a way I can play the other Ecclesia cards, but like I don't like linking and stuff like that with Quim. So I'm like, all right, I can link with the Cartesia stuff and synchro with it if I want to, but at the same time, like I don't want to be locked into that and restricted with that and have the Garnet while also narrowing down my extra deck, because I don't like that. Like, I want to be able to have a grind game. I want to be able to have more Shaddoll's on there. I want to be able to have more utility cards. I want to be able to have more Invoked, etc., etc. Like, being forced around Appaloosa, Savage, Cross Sheep, and all that with the other version, it's very good, but, like, I don't like that, in my personal opinion. Now, onto the Shaddolls. I'm doing this list in the form of engines. 2 Shaddoll Squam, 2 Shaddoll Windy. I put Hedgehog back in here. Hedgehog has actually been freaking clutch because in the all gas no breaks build, because like literally all I want to do with this is fuse. That's literally it. Fuse and link, fuse and link, fuse and link. That's literally it. So this being able to get a doll in hand is like very, very impactful. And helps you keep pushing. Definitely when like you open like an L or something like that, it's very nice. And then 1 dragon, 1 beast, 1 aerial, and the card that everyone takes a dump on, but this card is actually very busted and it's won me several games because it just makes it impossible for my opponent to break my board, is Falco. You pair this with Resh, your opponent's not pushing through your board, dog. This card and Resh alone saved me from being OTK'd numerous times last night. At the time of recording this, I'm recording this the day after a local, so I'm recording it on a Friday. But this and Resh alone saved me from being killed and keeps you in the grind game because it makes the rest of these float. There's not a single thing that I would change about this monster lineup, for at least for this format. And honestly, moving forward, I don't know if I will. Depends on the format. Like, I don't want to like set it in stone, but it's like I'm like 99.9% sure. Moving forward, I probably won't play anything different when it comes to Invoked Shaddolls than this version of the Shaddolls minus the Quim. So it's the all gas, no breaks, just no Quim, just double Cartesia. Because I feel like since this is a mid-range deck, you need all the gas to push through all the interruptions, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't show signs of slowing down anytime soon. The decks are just going to get more potent. So if you want to play this version, this old school deck, the 2019 deck or whatever, then you need to be able to push through it. And I think the Cartesia version is the only thing that can help you do that. Another thing, fun fact I want to point out too, the 2 Squam and the Dragon are level 4 dark spellcasters, which pairs well with your Shadow's Light if you don't open Alistair. Fun fact. And that alone has helped me push through several interruptions because they're like, oh, Meltdown, Ash. Okay. I go Shaddoll Fusion. Well, I mean, they go, like, you know what I'm saying. They just have all the interruptions. There was one time last night I had Nadir Servant, Invocation, Meltdown, and Shadow's Light, and Squam or something like that. And then I went Meltdown, they went Ash, I went Normal Summon, Shadow's Light, and then played through full board and got full board through that because the Cartesia package just provides so much, like, consistency that can still get you to your Schism, other Shaddolls on board, and fusions and stuff engraved. It's really nasty. Then I got 3 of the 1-card Board Breaker against Fire King. This card is one of the reasons why you just beat Fire King. 1 L. L is very, very busted. It helped me from being Jowgen locked last night. Shout outs to my homie Andrew. Even though I don't think he was going to go the Jowgen lock, he could have went because it was in graveyard and he had Sanctifier on board. So I was like, I just went like this when he went like Sanctifier Effect or whatever, and I just was able to put an App Cologne on board. I just really wish App Cologne didn't target so I can completely turn off the Sanctifier so I could actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Konami just forbids to ban that card. But it's very good at OTKing too. Then I'm running 1 Resh, 1 Schism. It's very standard. Nothing needs to be said. Moving forward to the dog package. 1 Starlight Ecclesia, not the Quarter Century. 1 Fleur de Lis. And then 3 Poor Man's Nadir Servant because I don't have the QCRs, even though I wish I did. But yeah, this is the standard. You don't need Maximus. You just don't. You don't have room for Maximus in the deck. On top of that, it's just a brick if you draw it. Also, on top of that, it makes it to where you are forced to run the Almirage and Secure Garden package in your extra deck, and there's just literally no wiggle room for anything in the extra deck, in my personal opinion. Every single card in my extra deck yesterday, I summoned every single card, rather, is what I'm saying. Every single card in my extra deck, I summoned. It was insane. So, like, every single card you need. Moving forward to the Cartesia package. 2 Cartesia. This card is so good in this deck. Like, one situation, I went Shaddoll Fusion to make Construct just to get this in rotation because I think it was I think my Alistair got called by it or something like that. So I needed another fusion, a way to make fusions. So I went Shaddoll Fusion, made Construct, send this, and then linked it Construct away later in the turn. And then in phase have this, bring this back to hand, and then I have a way to play on my next turn. 3 Shadows Light for the Squam, mainly Alistair, and then the Dragon at worst case to get access to her. And the fact she's a tuner too is very, very nice. But this card is just, it's insane. I think, like, outside of not being able to special because we don't have an Albaz in graveyard, like, I feel like we get more advantage out of using this than actual branded decks do. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's just insane. Because the branded fusion locks you is the only reason I say that. Then my option for non-engine is 3 Nibiru. This card is just too high impact right now, and I know a lot of you all are going to be like, why no Super Poly? Right now, Super Poly just doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it does enough. So 3 Nib is just, this card just, everybody plays into this right now, like Kashchira, Fire, you name it. And on top of that, it's a light. So at worst case, it's an extra light target in your hand for your fuse. Since we're making an all fuse build, basically, we just want a fusion summon. That's it. Because we go in with this build, you're fully intending on your Alistair to not resolve. So you need to be able to push past that to be able to still get to your full board without relying on drawing Nadir Servant with your Alistair. Because you still need to be able to put up interactions, and you're not going to always draw Nadir Servant with Alistair. It's just not going to happen. So the best way to do that is with with Cartesia and stuff like that, and other ways to keep pushing. And the Nib being a light is just insane. Like, the utility that this card provides for us is just, I don't know, it just feels like everything lines up for us in this format to be able to run this deck, and definitely this list. It's just insane. This list in general, like, and with all the playtests that I've gotten with it, has literally relit my Shaddoll fire. Like, before, it just felt like, okay, it just depends on what I draw, plus it depends on the format, also depends on, and it was also copium, because we all know, if you're watching this profile, that means you're a fan of the deck for a long time now anyway, so it's like, we loved the format where we could, back in like 2019, 2020, where we could play this deck, and it was like actually relevant. But it feels like now with all this other stuff that I'll get to more when we get to the extra deck, but with the Cartesia stuff that provides this deck with so much more oomph that it just feels like it did back in the old days, but also, if not, more powerful. Moving on to the generics, the last 3 cards in the deck is 1 Thrust, 1 Foolish, 1 Called By. Literally up until about 30 minutes before my event, I was running Instant Fusion with Mud Dragon in the side, but I was like, all right, if I'm not running Super Poly, I don't want to run Mud Dragon, and I want to be able to push through interruptions. Like if I'm playing against Fire Kings, for an example, they're obviously going to activate monster effects on my turn, whether it be Princess or Ambluel or whatever, or Kieran or whatever. So I was like, all right, this can get me to a Shaddoll Fusion to completely crack their follow-up. Worst case scenario is very, very impactful. I don't want to play more than one because I don't want to brick on it. But if I draw the one of, being able to get me a Foolish, to get me a Resh, to get set cards from my side deck, or to get access to a Shaddoll Fusion is just very impactful. And another thing you'll notice in this list too, I am not running Prosperity. Not once did I miss Prosperity. This deck, this version actually likes to draw a lot. So, like, because you just abuse Beast. And, like, you don't want the pros to to prevent you from doing that. On top of that, I run so many, if you, like, go back and look if you haven't seen already, I run so many consistency cards that you don't really need Prosperity. Like, my number 1 overall goal is to get Schism on board or El Shaddoll Fusion on board with a 1 to 2 Shaddoll monsters, and then, like, Gravity Controller or AP Masquerena, because... spoiler, I'm running Alpi Masquerena to make SP Little Knight on my opponent's turn. Because you can do that easily. Well, not easily, but if you get 2 names on board, like you can resolve double fusions or whatever, you can definitely get access to it. It was a lot easier when I actually ran the instant fusion, but I liked Thrust better. Granted, I didn't see Thrust at all last night, but in theory, I like Thrust more. Clean 40, baby. Clean 40. On to the extra deck, where my personal opinion and my playstyle, the way I want to run the deck, there's no wiggle room. 1 Artemis, because it's your light target. You link into this, you can make Makaba, or it's your light target for your Shaddolls, whether you're using Shaddoll Fusion or L. And then the rest of the links. Gravity Controller, because this card still is mandatory in my personal opinion, because you do open awkward hands sometimes where you can only make a construct and then summon a construct and the extra monster and link it away to get it in the graveyard to get your follow-up or your whatever you sent off construct is very crucial. So this comes up. On top of that, some like random link deck sometimes to be able to bounce their shit is very cool too. And then 1 Little Knight and 1 Alpi Masquerena. The only card I don't think I summoned last night was Alpi Masquerena. I could be wrong. I may have summoned it once. I can't remember, but SP Little Knight came in clutch. Very nice. Resolving this card plus Aerial is very, very nice against graveyard-centric decks. You just banish 4. It just feels very good. Then for the fusions, 2 Construct. You definitely need 2 because you need 1 for the follow-up for Cartesia. Because it's a level 8 or higher monster. So you do burn through 2. You really do. I've never not burned through 2. Definitely running the Cartesia package. If you're not running the Cartesia package, you're running like Invoked Dogmatika. If you just wanted to run 1, then that's fine. But in this build, when you're actually utilizing Shaddolls, you need as many Shaddoll fusion monsters as you can get by with. And then I'm running 2 of the best one, App Cologne. It really saddens me and breaks my heart seeing people drop this card to 1. You need 1 for Nadir Servant, and you need 1 to actually summon to get in rotation, whether you're summoning it and linking away and summoning it back from graveyard or not. If I had enough room in this extra deck, I'd run 3. This card is that important and provides more than the other Shaddoll monsters, in my personal opinion. But 2 App Cologne. Now, I am only running 1 window right now. Granted, I know like in other builds, like when you're running the hand trap builds, the second one does come up. Definitely also if you're running the instant fusion. But the only reason I'm running 1 is because like in theory, all you need is the 1 unless they banish it with Little Knight. But even then, like you can still get it back in rotation with Aerial. Like I had that situation come up several times last night where I actually it got banished, but it was like banished by like a Call by the Grave or something like that. It wasn't a Little Knight, but like I use Wendy to summon Ariel, and I could have got this back in rotation if I wanted to. I just never found myself needing it. And then in another game where this got outed several times, I literally just prevented my opponent, because we can easily play under Winda. Us Shaddoll players know that. But one of my matchups against like Red Dragon Archfiend, I just kept looping this and Resh. Literally just kept rotating them. Literally summon this, they out it, I use this, add Resh back, and then just kept looping it. And what it did is it prevented them from killing me and allowed me to get enough resources to where I could kill them. So it was just, I don't know, it was just very, very broken. But I never needed more than one in this build. Like I said, if you're just running a hand trap build, or if you're still running like the actual dolls, but you're running more of a hand traps, then you might want to, because sometimes it takes two to solidify. But in this build where I'm just pushing fusions and big bodies, I've never needed the second one. Now for the invoked fusions, only one Macabre. I feel like your Shaddolls do most of the carrying in this deck, so like I've never needed a second one. And like right now, it's like there's not much. It's like it feels like this format is like more of a resource management than actual interruptions or push through boards. So like there's like once you get one established, you don't need a second one, because not other decks can put up negates. So once you put up negates, it's hard for them to push through your negates, because they're more of a resource management type decks right now, I feel. One Agoides for the OTK. One Purgatrio. This was actually Mud Dragon, and then I cut it for this. I'm glad I cut it for this, because against fire, this card is just nasty. And since Invoked just likes using our graveyard anyways, it's really nice to have access to this for just OTKs anyways. Definitely if you pair these two together, because like it's just very nice if you can get both of them in rotation. If you don't like summon one and don't OTK them, and then summon the other. And then one Kliga, because still people struggle against this card and can't really out this card. Definitely if you pair an Alistair in hand with it, it's very nasty. And then one Gregonold Dust Dragon, because this is basically a fourth Nadir Servant, and you can summon it easily with like any light or dark with Cartesia, so it's very, very nasty. And then the last card in the extra deck is the Lulu Walleth to pair with this. And ironically, you can actually hard synchro this if you want to with Construct and Cartesia, if you want to go that route. But typically, I like to go this route. Like, there was a situation where I was trying to play around Evenly Matched last night, where I summoned this in the extra monster zone, used his effect to get Shaddolls in play, because I already had Schism. So I went this, dump Abclone, add Squam, dump Squam, pitch Windy, summon whatever doll I wanted, which I think at the time was Beast. And then I linked this away into Gravity Controller to get this in Graveyard, because I didn't want to like get evenly matched and be forced to get rid of this. Get this in Grave, and then I could just summon this on my opponent's turn, because against Fire, this is very easily summoned against them, because like their Snake Eye cards and stuff. So and turn their stuff off. And if they out this, then you can literally, if they out it, you can summon literally anything. You can summon her, the second copy of her in rotation. You can summon that. You can summon that. You get all your stuff in rotation, so it feels really nice. Because you can, like, if you didn't draw Nadir Servant, for an example, but you already have one of these in rotation from the graveyard, if they out a Lulu Wall on your opponent during your opponent's end phase, you could summon Ecclesia, search, Flirt Elite, and you have a negate live, and you haven't even started your turn yet. Your next turn yet, and then you just draw, and you get this back, and then at that point you have Shaddolls in rotation, so it's like you can just like normal summon this if you need to, because you don't have to be normal summon centric on just Alistair in this build. That's what I really like. The different engines provide different things for you at different times. Yeah, Lulu Walleth is just so good in this deck, and helping you get more follow-up and get more extension, and board presence, because that's another thing that I really like about this deck, this list rather too. It makes it very hard to break your board, because everything just floats and replaces itself, if you haven't noticed that already. On to the side deck, because this is a tournament deck. 3 Thanos, aka Phantasme. Never summoned it because I never played against a Link deck, but in theory it's very, very nice because it prevents targeting on your Alistair or anything else, and everybody right now and their mother's linking. And we don't run Prosp and Imperm or anything else, so it's just free real estate. Bell for Labyrinth, Fire Kings, and anything else. Same thing here. Labyrinth for their big welcome or anything else they'll target with whatchamacallit, the other trap card, basically Big Welcome 2.0. And then 3 Regeki, aka Cosmic Cyclone, for fire or any back row deck or runic or anything else. And then Voiceless Voice is becoming a problem, so I play D-Barrier. You don't have to run D-Barrier if you don't want to. It's just I have a lot of Synchro decks and Voiceless at my locals. So like Centurion and Voiceless. So every now and then I got branded. So like I need this to just turn skip. This is basically also what we can set off of the thrust. You can make the side deck as you see fit. I personally like the entire side deck. The only thing I think is potentially wiggle room is these 3. You can fill these in as you want, but I really think to start out your side deck, you definitely need to keep the first 9 in the form of Phantasme, Bell, and Crow. And then the rest you can just fill in the gaps if you want. But that's it for the deck. I think moving forward, this is like obviously it'll be tweaked a little bit based upon format to format, just a little bit. But I think this is the version that I'm going to be playing personally moving forward until something greater comes out or I discover something else. The Lulu Walleth package with the Cartesia and the Greganol and all that provides so much more like consistency with our Shaddolls, with it being like a Nadir Servant, but that also doesn't lock us like the Nadir Servant does. Is just very nice, and then that replacing itself. The Greganol and Graveyard being able to tag out for an additional interruption with Lulu Walls because it can randomly negate something and buff your fusions up even more, which if you have access to Winda, making your Winda a 2700 beater is really, really hard to out. Because, like, the only thing you really have to worry about right now without that is, like, making a window too early and then they, like, summon Witch and then attack over it. But, like, if you get buffed off of Lulu, then they can't do that any longer. So it's very, very... This engine is very, very nice. Missing out your battle phase or whatever with Shadow's Light never really came up for me last night. Very luckily for that. But if it does, then you just don't use it. And you just hope you don't need to, at least. But yeah, other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the list. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. How long you've been playing Invoked Dolls, actual Shaddolls, not the Invoked Dogmatika .handtrap.deck. And if you try this out, let me know how it worked out in your experience. But with that being said, it's your boy Brennan, aka Drip from D.D.D. Signing out till next time. Peace. Good dealing, my guys. Love you. Like and subscribe.